In the almost 2 years and over 70 episodes I've produced of this podcast, I've never seen the kind of questions and comments and reactions that I've seen over the last few weeks as we've talked about the topic of loyalty. And so today I'm going to speak to some of the most important and most challenging pieces of feedback I got from you. And we're going to go even deeper into what loyalty really means for leaders. Welcome to the Ware Show, a podcast for leaders who want more and won't settle for less. Straight talk to help you lead better, live bolder, and not lose yourself in the process. If you're serious about going to the next level in life and leadership, you're in the right place. Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Ware Show, where we talk about going to the next level in life and in leadership. And if you are a regular viewer or listener of this podcast, would you do me a favor and share it with someone who you know would benefit from it? Okay, that would mean the world to me, because my whole mission, my passion is to help leaders. I believe leadership is the greatest felt need in the world. Everything rises and falls on leadership. As leaders go, so goes our families and our households and our businesses and our nonprofits and ministries and communities and our nation. Okay, we need good leaders. And that's what I talk about. That's why I talk to leaders in this show, because this is what I believe. And over the last few weeks, I've been really focused on this topic of loyalty and how that impacts leaders in every type of organization. Okay, nobody's exempt from it. It's not like this only applies to a certain niche or a certain size of organization or any of that. This applies to every leader I know. And I've talked about why it matters so much, because loyalty really is the glue that is required on a team and between leaders and their teams if they really want to build something great. I spent the last 2 weeks talking about the opposite of that, talking about disloyalty, because that's one of the greatest destructive forces that can hit any organization. One of the most devastating things that leaders will have to deal with. The greatest challenge any leader will have to deal with is disloyalty on his or her team. Financial pressures, market conditions, legal issues, all the things that cause stress for leaders and entrepreneurs, none of those things compare to betrayal and mutiny and rebellion on your team. That's why if you are a leader, it is imperative that you understand how to create and how to cultivate a culture of loyalty in your organization. And to me, as someone who's been in leadership roles for over 30 years in for-profit and nonprofit spaces, in small businesses and in corporations, in church and ministry environments, this just seems really, really obvious to me. Okay, it seems like a no-brainer. And so, I knew I would get some hate and pushback on this topic, but I'm still a little surprised at how many people don't think loyalty matters, and particularly don't think that a leader should talk about this or emphasize this. And clearly that feedback was from people who are not leaders. Okay, that's very evident by some of the vitriol that they expressed and frankly the naivete that they showed. Some people got really riled up, and it's obvious that what I had to say was very triggering for them. Okay, on the other side, though, I've had more people reach out to me directly who are in leadership roles over the last few weeks than ever before, because they're trying to figure out how to navigate this topic in a healthy way. Okay, they want loyalty in their organizations. They want that culture, and it's clear some of the haters that sent me messages must work for some of these leaders. So what I want to do today is just take a few minutes to address some of what I think are maybe the most important or the most challenging pieces of feedback that I saw. Some things that kind of emerged as maybe frequently asked questions or frequent pushback, and I want to just speak to those things in a clear and direct way. One of the first comments I got a few weeks ago was when I said that every leader can and should expect loyalty from their team, and that anyone who disagrees with that is already disloyal at heart. And someone commented, no, you should only be loyal to good leaders. Not all leaders should expect this. Only good leaders are worth being loyal to. And I think that's worth talking to. I believe every leader can and should expect loyalty from their team, but that assumes that that leader has good character, good motives, and a good heart. They don't have to be a perfect person, but they do have to be a good person. Okay, every leader should expect loyalty from their team, but that's contingent upon them being the kind of person that others want to be loyal to. We need good leaders, not perfect leaders, but good leaders. And we also need good followers, people who are willing to give the benefit of the doubt, people who are willing to believe the best, people who are willing to stick with someone in a leadership role on their good days and on their bad days. One of the great challenges of our day is that so many people expect leaders to be perfect, and if they see or perceive any faults or flaws, they write that leader off wholesale. They show them no loyalty, no respect, no basic kindness as a human being. And ultimately, that creates a culture of suspicion and mistrust and disloyalty, which is a culture that's unhealthy for everyone. Somebody else made a comment from a similar perspective. They said, well, I don't expect loyalty, I earn loyalty. And to the leader who wrote in and said that, I would just say, I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's either or. I think it's both and. Okay, I stand by my statement that a leader should expect loyalty. Okay, if I bring you onto my team, I'm investing time and energy and money into you being part of what we're doing here. And so I absolutely expect that you're going to be loyal to me and my vision and what we're trying to accomplish here. Okay, that seems like a no-brainer to me. But to this viewer's point, I want to be the kind of leader who earns that loyalty by how I treat my people, right? Okay, what I do, what I say, my attitude, my nonverbal cues, my comp plan, okay, all those things can move loyalty up or down in my organization. So the way I would say it is this. There is a baseline level of loyalty and trust that both a leader and a team member must extend toward each other from day one, if they're going to have a productive, effective working relationship. You cannot wait for it to be earned or proven. You have to extend it in good faith. And then over time, the way you conduct yourself in that relationship determines whether that loyalty, whether that trust increases or decreases, whether it grows or shrinks. Okay, loyalty must be assumed in the short run, and then it must be maintained in the long run. Craig Rochelle says, the only way to know if you can trust someone is to trust them. And it's this idea that you can't withhold trust until everything is earned or proven. Sometimes you just have to extend it. And you're not stupid about it. You do it in incremental ways. And over time, as they handle that well, your trust will grow and you'll know that you can trust them even more. And I think that's true both directions in an organization. That's true for leaders with their team. They don't just hand them the keys to the kingdom. They watch their performance and their attitude and all of that to see if they can trust them with the job that they've been hired for. But it's also true for team members with their leaders, right? They've got to trust that this guy has my back and he really is looking out for my good and he is creating an environment where we're all in it together. Okay, so it's both and. Yes, I expect it, but I also earn it. Okay, this idea of trust and loyalty really, it does go hand in hand. Stephen Covey said that organizations move at the speed of trust. Where there's high trust between leaders and their teams, things can move very quickly. Where there's low trust, things can grind to a halt. And so if your organization is moving slowly, slow to act, slow to pivot, slow to make decisions, slow to seize opportunities, you may need to see if trust has broken down somewhere on your team. If your people trust more, they will move faster. One of the sentiments that I saw repeated over and over from people, watching, listening, and making a comment or sending me a DM or whatever, was this idea that it's not that the team needs to be loyal to the leader, it's that the leader needs to be loyal to the team. And I think for the most part, these comments are coming from people who probably have been hurt by a bad leader. Okay, they've been wounded by someone in the ranks above them who treated them as dispensable, who was ruthless toward them, who walked all over them or mistreated them or used them as a stepping stone to advance their own agenda or career. And if that's been your experience, I certainly empathize with you, and I'm sorry that that happened to you. Okay, that's not the kind of leadership that I advocate for. It's not the kind of leadership that I endorse. If you've watched or listened to this show, you know that. It is incumbent upon a leader to create a culture of loyalty within their organization by not just expecting loyalty to flow up to them, but by extending loyalty down to the people who report to them. In a healthy environment, loyalty is going every direction, okay? Up, down, sideways, diagonal. Leaders have a responsibility to model that, to foster that, to reward that, to encourage that. Leaders set the tone. And if they want loyalty to be a hallmark in their organization, they have to model it first. The problem is that too often people believe that if a leader challenges them, corrects them, repositions them, reassigns them, or even lets them go, that leader must be ruthless, heartless, evil, toxic, and disloyal. And I just want to say that is usually not the case. Most leaders, not all, but most leaders in most organizations care deeply about their people, more than their team probably even realizes. They agonize over corrective conversations. They hate having to let someone go, whether it was because that person's performance kind of necessitated it, or even if it's something, kind of outside their control, these financial realities for the company or downsizing or whatever. Okay, most leaders lose sleep over these kind of things. And most leaders actually hold off and delay taking action because they care about and are actually very loyal to their people. Let's just clear something up right now. Letting someone go does not necessarily mean that the leader was disloyal to them. How they let them go is what matters. Did they treat them with kindness and respect? Did they have honest conversations and give them opportunity to adjust and improve? Did they show generosity when they exited as much as they had the resources to do so? Letting someone go is not disloyal in and of itself, but leaders have to handle this well. And they also have to know that even if they do, it's often not going to be well received. That's just the burden of leadership. Something I think we talked about in the first week of the series on loyalty is this idea that loyalty is deeply personal. Right? Loyalty is to the person, not to the purpose. It's to the visionary, not to the vision. And that upsets some people. And, some people are just looking for things to be upset about. And I'm happy that my content can help them with that. But let's dig a little deeper into the nuance of that, because I do think it matters. And to me, it's not semantics. It's about your perspective and your mindset and how you understand this. When people say they're loyal to the mission, but they're not loyal to the leader, what they're saying is that they really don't understand loyalty at all. And the reason is because loyalty is always personal. It's always about the person. Okay, here's the distinction. Loyalty is to a person. Commitment is to a purpose. Loyalty is to the visionary. Commitment is to the vision. That means that you could be committed to the mission, which is great, but if you're going to say that you're loyal, that is a deeply personal thing. You can only be loyal to a person, to that leader. Okay, a couple more comments that I thought were interesting. In last week's episode, I made the statement that disloyal people have a tendency to kind of divert praise and attention and admiration that should be going to the senior leader to themselves instead. And, I've been at this long enough to know that as soon as that came out of my mouth, I knew it was going to piss some people off. And I wrote it on purpose. I said it on purpose because I believe that it's true. And I believe it draws a very distinct line between people who are loyal and people who are disloyal on your team. And the reason that I said it that way and framed it that way was not to say that it's all about stoking the ego of the senior leader. Okay, it's not about putting him up on this pedestal or worshiping him or idolizing him or anything like that. In fact, most leaders I know don't really want that anyway. Okay, what it is about is making sure that a junior level leader, okay, a middle manager, a vice president, okay, anybody who's not the point leader, that they are careful to not leverage their position and their influence to build themselves up at the expense of the leader that they serve, okay, because that is a form of disloyalty. And I'll give you an example of how this plays out so beautifully on the world stage right now with the Trump administration. And honestly, this is something President Trump learned the hard way in his first term because he selected some people for key positions who were really not loyal to him. And he's corrected that this time around. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but Trump 47, totally different leader than Trump 45. Okay, but over and over again, people like Vice President Vance, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, Robert F. Kennedy, Secretary of Health and Human Services, whenever they give a press conference, whenever they talk about some new policy, a new accomplishment, what they always do is they give credit to President Trump and to his administration. Okay, they say things like, well, it's because of President Trump's vision. It's because of his commitment, his mandate that he's fulfilling in office. It's because of his support. It's because his administration has prioritized this thing. Okay, those are the kinds of things that they say. Now, the truth is, we know how this works. They are the ones who are rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty and directing their teams and laying out the strategy and all of that. Okay, that's no secret. But they give credit to President Trump for it. And I know there's going to be trolls who say they just do it, because they're sycophants and they suck up to him and he has a huge ego and all that. And I'm not even going to bother addressing or debating any of that. What I'm going to do is tell you this. From a leadership perspective, the dynamic you see in the Trump administration is exactly what you want in your organization. You want to build a team of people who are so loyal to the leader, so committed to his vision that they work hard to see it come to fruition. They don't take credit. They don't steal the spotlight. They don't upstage him. They're all in it together to create a better tomorrow than what we have today. And in return, that leader supports them, has their back, gives them credit for their efforts, and helps elevate them in the eyes of the people. Okay, it is not an accident that these men are loyal to President Trump and that he is also quick to praise them, to recognize them, to include them on the stage and put them in the spotlight more than any other president has done in recent memory. That is a picture of a culture of loyalty. And I know I just made a bunch of people's heads explode, and I'm going to get even more comments about that, but whatever. I say what I say because I believe it, and this is my experience talking. And if you have a different point of view, you're welcome to express that, and you're also welcome to have your own show. Let me wrap up with one more. I had one particularly passionate commenter on YouTube who tried to chastise my choice of this topic because he said the stats showed that there were fewer viewers on my videos in this particular series, and that needs to get my attention, right? That's got to tell me something. And so I engaged with him, went back and forth a few times, and finally he said this. He said, "Don't you get it? People are tired and frustrated of employers demanding loyalty. Society is getting smarter than that. Candidates are catching on. Employees are standing up for their rights. Why don't you talk about those things?" And I guess my response to that is really more about my philosophy about this show and about the work that I do. Because number one, my work, my heart, my passion, my life experience is leadership. And so most of my content and my mindset and the impact I want to make is on leaders. Okay, I want to challenge leaders and encourage leaders and develop leaders and pour into leaders. That's why most of you are watching or listening to the show, because you want to grow in your leadership. Okay, I'm not speaking for the masses. I'm not speaking to the masses. I'm speaking to leaders. And number two is because I talk about what I believe we need to hear, not just what we want to hear. In fact, I think that's what separates leaders from followers, that we have the ability to distinguish between what we want and what we need. And we know that sometimes we have to put what we want to the side in favor of embracing what we actually need. Listen, as leaders, what we need to hear is not always what we want to hear. What we need is not always what feels good, what's comfortable, what's easy, what's pleasant. sometimes what we need is hard to swallow. It's tough to wrestle with. It's difficult to come to terms with. But it's only in embracing what we need that we can grow to become who we want to be. And that's my commitment to you if you're watching or listening. It's my commitment to the clients that I work with as an executive leadership coach. It's my commitment to the leaders who invite me into their world, whether that's formally or informally. And the reason why is because that's what I think we need if we're going to grow as leaders. And that's my hope for you. I'd love to hear from you. As you can tell, I really do read and think about your comments and questions, so keep them coming. If you're on YouTube, you can drop a comment there. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, you can shoot me a DM at the Matt Ware on all the socials. I hope this has helped you grow in your leadership and particularly helped you understand how to navigate loyalty and disloyalty, because it really does make a huge impact on your organization. And understanding this, I believe, really will help you lead better and live bolder.